Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Sunny in Phoenix podcast, a weekly podcast where we keep you up to date on everything Phoenix Suns basketball. This week, we're going to talk about what we hope the backcourt worked on this offseason, as well as I think we're in week 7 or 8 of Kyrie Irving watch, so we better wrap things up with that again this episode. So, I'm Charlie Erling. I have David McGraw and Mitch Krumpetich with me. What's up, guys?
Just same old, waiting for the Kyrie shoe to drop when he gets traded to Miami or whatever, so.
Yeah, I'm still kind of waiting on that too, but I'm doing real good, actually, because breaking news, I moved to Phoenix, so I'm just happy to be here.
Mitch is now in the Valley.
That's
Exciting
right.
things are going to start to happen.
It's good stuff. I mean, it's still like over 100 every day, but I'm getting used to it as best I can.
You never get used to it, though.
I'm trying, at least.
But it will cool down in like 2 months, so we've got that going for us.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped.
Make sure to get a hold of us on social media. Our Twitter is @SunnyandPHXPod. Our email is sunnyandphxpod@gmail.com. And check us out over at our new host, the Deepish Thoughts Podcast Network, over at deepishthoughts.com.
Thanks for listening to the Sunny in Phoenix podcast. If you'd like to further support the show, you can head over to tpublic.com/user/sunnyinphx. That's teepublic.com/user/sunnyinphx. We've got t-shirts, mugs, phone cases, all kinds of stuff. You can get our famous cheese is warming up design, or just one that says Sunny in PHX. Again, tpublic.com/user/sunnyinphx. And go Suns.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about what we hoped the guys worked on this offseason. We're at that point of the offseason where the news isn't flying in, so we try to create our own, and this is what we came up with, which may have been maybe just an hour or two before the podcast, but that's no big deal. Let's start things off with Eric Bledsoe and what we hope he worked on the most this offseason. Mitch, start us off.
Well, I think Bledsoe has quite an interesting case this season with all of these trade rumors. So I hope he worked on his mentality. I know he wasn't super happy about being benched halfway through the season or a little past halfway through the season. No one would, I get that. But if he remains on the team this season, I hope that he is just able to stay mentally strong and understand what a valuable piece to this team he is.
I like that. We've put Bledsoe through quite a bit with his short career here as a Phoenix Sun already, and just keeping that positive mentality would probably be a big help for him, as well as the team that follows him right now. So I like that. What do you think, David?
I really like that mentality of it as well. I think that really kind of what I'm hoping that he's working on, and I think he has been, is really working into a leadership kind of role, kind of similar. Whether he does get traded, whether or not, he is getting a little older. He's 27, not like super old or anything, but I do think that he needs to work on that and setting an example for the young guys. I think he is doing that already. I mean, there were pictures on Instagram, I think, of him and Chris working out and things like that early on in the offseason. So just little things like that. And, maybe working on the mentality from a defensive perspective. He was kind of known as this mini LeBron early in his career. Last year, his defense kind of took a little bit of a drop with the offensive load. So maybe he doesn't put up as good offensive numbers, but maybe he tries to turn it on a little bit more on the defense, especially if he gets traded. If he gets traded to somewhere like Cleveland for whatever reason and ends up with LeBron, they're going to really be looking for him to be that defensive force. So I kind of hope that he's working on that even if he stays.
I like that. And you mentioned how Bledsoe's getting a little older now, and what I kind of hope he's been working on is kind of like the old man game of basketball. That really solidifying that jumper and that three-pointer, so he doesn't have to rely on getting to the basket like he did earlier on in his career. I'm not going to say Eric Bledsoe has lost his step, but he's just not quite as explosive as he used to be. So I think to take advantage of his skills, we've seen that jumper, especially over the last couple years. It's been coming around, and the three-point game, pretty solid too. So I really hope that's something that he is just been putting a lot of time in, working on that jumper, keeping the floor spread. All right, let's move on to the man, Devin Booker. And I was thinking a little bit about this before the show, and as much as I want to say I just hope he worked on scoring all summer, that'd probably be kind of silly. So, David, what do you think?
You know, I have one focus that I hope Booker's doing, and I think that he has this mentality no matter what. And I hope that he's just continuing to strive for greatness. And, you know, I think he has the mentality. I think he wants to be that kind of thing. So I think he's just going to continue to put in the work. And he's had stuff where he's been hanging out with Kat and, you know, hanging out at his house in LA or whatever and chilling with him and doing all this other stuff. But I think that he will continue to have that strive to get better. And honestly, that's just all I can hope for him. I mean, he's a 13 pick. If he keeps on any sort of trajectory, he will be a great. And even if whatever, I mean, dude's already exceeding expectations continually, and I hope he just continues to do that.
Yeah, I like all of that. I will add that I hope he's working on defense. I think that's his glaring weakness, which we all know. And there's a lot of great players in the NBA who aren't great at defense. But I think if Booker can really step up his D this year, that'll put him over the next hump on his way to being a star. So, yeah, I hope he's working on that defense and gaining a little strength as well. I'd like to see that.
Honestly, the strength part, I agree with you. I think that the defense, working on that, of course, he should always work on that. But even just working on other aspects of his game can help him take that next step. There has been talk already that he might take a sort of semi-James Harden type of role where he's being kind of a primary ball handler and that kind of stuff in our offense, and working on that and other aspects of his game like that I think can propel him where maybe, you know, he's never the best on defense, but just everything on offense is so good that it just doesn't matter. And being a playmaker, being all those other kind of things can do that.
So you mentioned the James Harden type role, and since Mitch mentioned defense, I'm going to go with improving the pick and roll game as the ball handler. And we've seen some great things out of that already. We know that he's a willing passer, a smart passer. But I think just taking that to the next level, we know he can shoot it. We know he can come off a screen and just hit a J right in the guy's face. But I'd really like to see him get some of that chemistry going, and kind of like Tyler Ulis and Allen Williams at the end of last year. Those guys were on the same page, and I'd like to see Booker and Chris get on a level like that, or Booker and Jackson, or, you know, whoever wants to run that pick and roll. We have a lot of guys that can do it, so that's, if I have to pick something, that's what I'm going with for Booker. And Tyler Ulis next on the line. Mitch, started off.
Yeah, I mean, Tyler Ulis was thrust into a bit of an unexpected role with more playing time than anticipated last year, and he did a really good job with everything he was given. I would like to see him gain a little bit more chemistry, like you mentioned, with Williams, but with other guys on the team. And I think he's doing that this offseason for sure. I know him and Booker hang out all the time. While they might not see the floor a ton together, I think having that chemistry is important. And other than that, I mean, I think he just did a stellar job for what we expected out of him. So I'm just going to go with chemistry with some of the other guys.
Yeah, I like that a ton. And, you know, you kind of said the thing about how Ulis and Big Sauce are really starting to kind of click and that kind of stuff. I think Ulis almost has that with just about everyone just because of his unselfish play. And, you know, I think that he is another guy that has a chip on his shoulder and wants to be better and listens to everyone who says that either he's too short and all this other stuff, and he wants to prove those kind of people wrong. And the dude's balled out wherever he's been, and I think he's gonna just continue to work and continue to try and do that. I mean, he was a defensive player of the year for the SEC his last year in college, and I think he can show that drive and work ethic by continuing to try and get better, and I think he's going to do that.
Right. I think we all know that Ulis has the potential to be a solid defender, but that's kind of what I think really needs to be the next big step for him. He's great as a ball distributor. I love how he runs an offense. Obviously, he will need to improve on that, but defensively, the way I look at it is, if you're going to be 5'8", 5'9", 5'10", whatever you want to say he is, and you want to be in the NBA, you either have to score the ball like Isaiah Thomas or what? I mean, it's tough. I'd say defense is probably where he needs to fit in as like one of the better guys at his position to kind of prolong his career, make his career better. He's gonna stick around at the league for plenty of time, but I think defense might have to be the calling card aside from being a playmaker.
Normally these short kind of guys, they stay around because of scoring or quickness, athleticism, those kind of things. And I think because of that, not necessarily all of them are looked at as playmakers, and because of his height, Ulis might get scored on by bigger guys no matter what, even if he is playing good defense and in good positioning. So I think he honestly needs to, when you kind of talk about the defense and stuff, I think he will work on that, but just continue to kind of be pesky. He can do that, get those steals and those kind of things. I agree with you there. But, if he can continue to do that, if he can find a niche in the league by being a short guy, then that'd be a big bonus because, as you said, if you're that short, you got to be either scorer, and I just want to kind of tack on the athleticism, quickness aspect of that as well.
Yeah, and along with that, getting that pro body, putting on that weight and muscle. We saw him on the sidelines at Summer League rocking a tight black t-shirt, some ridiculously tight black skinny jeans, and he just looks so tiny.
Yeah.
He's such a little guy. I mean, he's got to be like maybe $140 soaking wet. He's got some room to grow though, right, boys?
That's right. He's still young.
All right, let's move it on. We're getting into the NBA rookies here, and Davon Reed is next on the line now that Brandon Knight is down and injured and out for the season. So we've been talking a lot about Reed lately, but what would be the one thing we'd like to see him really improve on coming into his first NBA season?
It's tough for these senior guys to come in. They aren't, not a lot of is expected of them. They're not seen to have a ton of room to grow. That's just because they're older. They already kind of seem to be the player that they're going to be. All we can really ask of him is out there and play hard-nosed defense, hit some threes, and that's what we got to ask for him for this season. He's going to be our backup too, as things look right now with Brandon Knight out. He's going to get those minutes. We are a young team. We're not necessarily trying to hit a playoff spot. We're just going to try and play and see what goes on. That's kind of why I say I don't ever want to say that we're tanking right now. We're just trying to let the young guys play. There's a little bit of a difference between blatantly being bad blatantly trying to be bad and just being kind of bad. We're kind of in that second group. So if he can just come out there, start working on chemistry and those kind of things with the other guys, and maybe him and Big Sauce and Bender have some good conversations while on the practice court on defensive assignments and stuff, and that can start to shine in through when they are all together on the floor in some games and stuff.
Yeah, I like that. Davon Reed being the age he is, and with his skill set, I think he's got a good idea of his role and his identity at this point. I would like to see him work that into this team and not try to do too much. But at the same time, I don't think that he has no room to grow or anything like that. You know, he's still 22. That's not super old. You know, there are some things that he can grow with, but I just like to see him work his role into our team. And without PJ Tucker, it's probably going to be pretty easy. But not doing too much is, I think, what he can really do or not do. If you know what I'm saying.
There you go. And you just brought up PJ Tucker, and that makes me think I'd really like to see Davon Reed become somewhat of a defensive specialist type player, a guy that that is known for his defense. I think that'd just be fantastic. Whether he's sharing the court with another wing like Warren, I think he'd be a nice guy to have alongside Warren for his defense and TJ's offense. TJ's not a slouch on defense, though, don't get me wrong. And then, say he's sharing the court with Jackson, I think that's some potential for two great wing defenders on the court at the same time. So, defense is the way I'm leaning. I feel like I've been talking about that this entire episode already, but, I mean, that's what the Suns need. We need defense, and with guys that we just brought in, like Jackson and Reed, I think those guys are part of that movement. So
Suns not a historically stout defensive team, but you know, we like some defense. We like
I'd
some
love
defense
to see it, you know.
And
I mean, I have nothing against defense as a Suns fan my entire life. I mean,
I will
like
say
it.
there are some interesting things that we could do on the defensive end with some lineups, and seeing some sort of combination as long as he's still on the team. Bledsoe, Davon Reed, Josh Jackson, Dragan Bender, and Chandler maybe on the floor together. I wouldn't necessarily be against seeing that together.
We might only shoot 15%, but that would
Hey,
be
now, we
pretty
couldn't
good
shoot
defense.
any worse than we did when we had that lineup a few years ago where it was Bledsoe,
Oh no, I
PJ
know what you're
Tucker,
gonna say.
Marcus Morris, Markieff Morris, and Alex Len.
Ugh, yeah.
Or
Oh,
when
man.
we were rocking the twin
yep.
The
towers
I
of
thought you were
Len
going to
and
say
Chandler,
Twin Towers. That was
and our
bad.
defensive numbers and rebounding numbers looked great, but that field goal percentage was pretty low. Okay, and David, I'm sending this one right over to you, buddy. Mike James. He might be seeing some NBA floor time
God, I
this
hope
year. We
not.
never know. So,
I know.
as much as we know about Mike James from our extensive viewing at Summer League, what do you think he
What
could
I hope
use
he could use some work
David?
on is his bench riding time, and I need to see that greatly increase, as well as his tickets to Europe time. I would like to see those jump back up there.
And I'll do you one better. I would like to see him really work on his D-League game, or G-League game. Sorry. Oh, I hate that so much. But whatever. I'd like to see him really work on, getting up and down the court in towns like Des Moines, Sioux Falls, those kind of places. Really listening to whoever our coach is there. Not throwing the ball out of bounds on a last-second play. Just really embracing the G-League lifestyle.
Getting some butts in the seats at Prescott Valley.
That's so mean. I feel bad. I feel really bad.
Don't feel bad. We watched him play. You don't have to feel bad.
But you know what? Mike James might be a guy that tears up the G League and looks great.
He might. He really might.
We saw what he did at Summer League, and his overall stats for that week were they were impressive
I will
stats,
say
so.
this: he makes his stats look like he's better than he actually is, and he does some decent highlight reels. So maybe someone else can sign him.
He's perfect for the G League.
He really is, actually.
He's perfect. There you
Sell
go.
some tickets up
This
north.
is the reason why we don't have Kyrie yet. We haven't offered Mike James.
Ugh.
Yeah, Mike James needs to be in the land. Bring him to the land.
Mike James will bring another ring to the land. Move over, LeBron. Oh, we should
Oh, that's
tweet
good.
that. Holy cow.
We joke about James Jones being the real King James, but now we have like the real true King
I mean,
James.
I gotta ask you guys this: have you ever seen Mike James and LeBron James in the room at the same time?
Nope,
No,
never.
Never. Not once.
I'm gonna write a blog post about that tonight.
And I've been in the same room as Mike James like 3 times. So
Was LeBron
I
there?
think no, he
Nope.
wasn't. And I think that's a large enough sample size.
I'd say that's scientific enough
Mythbusters
for this
confirmed.
podcast.
And I mean, anyone who has been in the Cox Pavilion knows that it's not a huge place. So, if LeBron were there, I would have seen him.
Absolutely. All right. Glad we got that pinned down before we move on here. And I mean, we don't really need to talk about Kyrie too much here. Like I said in the intro, this is week 7, day 54 of the Kyrie Irving watch. We're still hearing rumors about Kyrie being heading to the Suns and the Suns being the number 1 landing place and all this good stuff. And I mean, how many episodes can we have with Kyrie Irving in the title?
As long as they keep getting views, boy.
It's too much.
I mean, I feel like everyone is so tired of it. Okay, quickly, I'm going to do just a very, very quick update on the newest stuff. Apparently, what the Suns have offered now is Bledsoe, Dragan Bender, and the Miami first-round 2018 pick for Kyrie Irving. Now, keep in mind, I have seen this on Twitter from some sources that I'm not so sure about, which leads into a discussion point that I think we should talk about on this show. And that's, who do you trust in the media? It's hard nowadays to find a good source, you know? You go on Twitter and people are saying this, that, and the other about who knows what, and I'm like, I don't even know what to think anymore. I saw someone say something really interesting, though, that I want to bring up before I get your guys' opinions. But this person, I forget who said this, but they said never trust anyone on Twitter who has a number in their Twitter handle. And I really liked that until I
That's
looked
fair.
at John Gambadoro, who has 3 numbers in his Twitter handle. So who knows what to think. But what do you guys
You just said
think?
the one dude where, like, when he actually says anything, I'm like, all right, that's probably pretty accurate. And that, yeah,
I actually trust Gambo. Yeah.
I trust Gambo too, for sure. But there's a lot of other people. There's a lot of other trustable is not a word, but I just made it one. Trustworthy sources out there.
Okay,
But-
so Gambo's is like 98.7. The
Yes,
the
it
radio
is. It's
station,
the
right?
radio
It's not,
station.
It's not 69.420. You know, like, there's a difference there.
Yes.
We got to give Gambo some credit.
Yes, and that makes sense. I get that. I understand that. But still, I just thought that was funny when they said never trust anyone with a number in their Twitter handle. And then the very next thing I saw was Gambo 987. I'm like, well,
It would've been
I don't trust
funnier if
Gambo
Gambo
anymore.
said it.
No, kidding. I love Gambo. It would have been really funny. But seriously, how do you trust something on Twitter nowadays?
I mean, personally, I just
I think
don't.
that's the safest bet.
And especially when it comes to the Suns, McDonough has made moves that we had no idea were going to happen until they happened and they were announced to the media, like confirmed reports. So, like, I mean, I trust Woj. I guess
Yeah.
I like most of that stuff is like I'd say pretty much 95% true from my eyes, I guess. Probably higher than that, I don't know. But there's just not, if it's coming from a random person, like, I don't know, you say you're boys with Devin Booker, or like you you know Brandon Knight's cousin because he lived across the street from your mom. Like, you know, it's stuff like that. Like, man, maybe this guy knows a little bit, but from what I've seen, it's pretty clear that no one has any idea what these guys are actually doing. So it's tough to trust anybody.
But what if they're verified? What if they've got the blue check mark by their name?
I
It
mean,
doesn't mean anything. Broussard has
from
a
what?
blue
Like,
check mark.
What are you verified from?
Right? Yeah. Good point.
He's
yeah,
on
I mean,
TV.
like, that doesn't mean that, like, his
That's,
sauces
I mean, that's
are
what I'm
good.
getting at.
I know. Multiple sauces. The now defunct
Too much
podcast network.
sauce.
I mean, like, Woj is a good one, but, like, you can't trust anything it says whenever it has anything that has a semi-relation to LeBron just because he doesn't have any sources there.
Yeah.
And, like, it's just all hit pieces, so, like, you can't trust anything on that end. But, like, just about everything else, I mean, the dude has whatever relationships and however he got him in every front office besides LeBron, so, I mean, normally what he says is pretty accurate, but when everything, I mean, as long as you're saying everything's speculation, I mean, you're not wrong. You're like, all right, this has been talked about. Prove me wrong.
Oh, and I trust anything that is said in, like, Facebook groups.
Oh,
I trust
perfect.
that.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah, I
That's a
thought
good
I'd
one.
throw that in.
If it
Okay,
shows
yeah,
up
okay.
in our
That's
new on
a
our
great
NBA,
place.
I'm pretty much always
Oh,
100% confirmed with that.
Devin Booker below average player.
No
Worst
blocks.
role player
at best.
in Suns history.
Wasting
Oh.
his career.
Okay, I've got to bring something up. Our NBA can be a great place for news and like funny stuff, interesting things, but a friend of mine, shout out to Josh, the Jostrich, I'm sure he's listening at some point. He texted me and let me know that he blocked our NBA after seeing a highly upvoted comment comparing Kevin Durant to Adam Morrison on the Lakers, saying that KD
Give this man a round
like
of applause.
like people are upvoting a comment that says KD on the Warriors getting a ring is like Adam Morrison getting a ring on the Lakers. That is insane. That's pure insanity. Like, that's one of the stupidest things I've ever heard in my whole life.
I mean, like, it's pretty great, though.
I mean, it's funny, but people
It's-
take that
it
stuff
is
seriously
funny. I mean,
over
like-
there.
Like, you can't tell who's taking it seriously and who's in on the joke. And
Right.
I really hope that was
Yeah,
a joke.
it was.
I mean, it didn't. Okay. Still.
OP, that better
I
have
mean,
been a
like,
joke, buddy.
Come
Still.
on, that's a joke. You can't. And like you said, that our NBA can be a good
I don't
thing
know.
for like news and stuff. No, it's not. Like Reddit. Okay, so like
Well,
Reddit
if
is
you-
an aggregate. You're right, and you can link stuff. And when news happens, you can link it there. Yes.
That's
But,
that's all I'm
like,
saying, because some of our listeners might not be
you
as
don't want to do it
involved.
for like legitimate news discussion most of the time because it's everyone just making memes, and that's the whole point.
Well,
That's Reddit.
me too, thanks. All right. On a serious note, though, another person that I trust on Twitter is Shams. He is the guy who took over for Woj on Yahoo.
Yep.
And it's always funny to see if him or Woj gets the tweet out first. And lately it's been Shams, so I have my notifications for him turned on, actually.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
both of them, but
I wonder if they came to some sort of an agreement.
yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. But I guess the conclusion of this is trust no one on Twitter, basically.
Especially if they work for ESPN
Yeah.
or they're Bill Simmons.
Well,
Not to name any
that's
names,
Bill
another
Simmons,
argument
man.
for another day.
Bill
I
Simmons.
guess.
Oh, man.
We could probably do a whole episode on that. But I mean, I think it is kind of cool though at times to put a bit of a positive spin on this, that you don't always hear a whole lot about the Suns and then something happens and you're like, "Oh, nice." Like, I kind of like that we keep stuff under wraps.
legit, just listen to Gambo. Just ignore everyone else on the Suns. Like, if anyone's talking about the Suns, just assume that it's garbage. That's what I do, and it makes my life a whole lot better. Doesn't stop things from like RNBA and all the idiots making my blood boil, but like, just ignore it all. It's all garbage. No one. It's
Just listen to Gambo. That's fair.
just listen to Gambo and that's it. You're just better off.
Trust no one. Okay. Well, yeah, I think that was good.
Yeah.
There's a few people you can trust. Otherwise, I mean, take everything with a grain of salt on Twitter. And whenever you see a bogus-looking article, be sure to hop on your closest Facebook fan page of your favorite team and post it on there, just for the reactions. I mean,
Oh,
just
and
get your popcorn. Just wait for the reactions to pile in.
and follow us on Twitter at Sunny and PHX Pod.
Nailed it.
We are a very trusted source, just in case you were wondering.
Yeah.
The most trusted of sauces, better than Newman's. Okay, all right,
Okay,
David.
there is one final thing I think we need to talk
Okay.
about to close out this podcast before we get to the real closing out. And that's that Nike revealed which
Oh,
teams
yeah.
were going to be having throwback jerseys this year. And the Suns are getting some love.
Yeah.
Specifically, the 68 to 70 whatever Suns are getting love. And we're getting those awesome throwbacks. And I'm in love.
I can't believe we hadn't mentioned that yet. So I'm
Yeah,
glad you
that's
did.
that's a
David.
good point. Real news.
I was looking at the outline, and I figured, we got our little clip of what's going to be the good short one. We got to bookend it with something, and those jerseys. Ooh.
I'm really excited for them, and like I don't want to go too crazy here, but like I like to think that I have a decent eye for design and like what's appealing and that type of thing. And the one thing I notice off those jerseys are actually the shorts. The logo on the outside of the shorts looks so cool. And I have
Yeah.
a feeling that's going to be like what draws your eye to these new jerseys. I'm really excited about it. And the kind of old school Western font, I can see that coming back too. Kind of like a replacement for the gray ones that we had the last couple years.
Yep,
Mhm.
probably.
So I'm excited for that.
Now,
I do got to say, I'm going to buy 2 of those jerseys.
yeah.
I just have already, like, all right, I'm putting aside money. I'm buying 2 of those jerseys. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm just doing it.
Now,
Yep, I'm getting that Dr. JJ customized one. No
Ooh.
doubt.
Oh, yeah.
I'm doing that.
yeah. So, keep in mind, I would be fine if we wore the black 90s Sunburst jerseys for every game from here on out. But I do really like these jerseys, the throwback ones we're going to wear this year. But my question is, will we be wearing the short shorts?
I think talk has been that we are.
Really?
Wow.
I think talk has been, I thought, that all the teams have, like, the shorter shorts for doing that. Like, not the super short
not
shorts.
not the
like,
grape huggers, but a little short, a little
No,
longer.
no, not the ones where, like, I think it was the Lakers in, like, 2007. They wore, like, the super short ones from the 80s and then had to change at halftime. But I think they are I think, like, all the throwback ones are wearing, like, some slightly shorter shorts.
I'm down
Wow.
with that.
Yeah, that'll be
That's
kind of cool.
Which means that Derek Jones Jr. will be wearing grape
Oh yeah. He'll have those babies yanked up. But here's my theory. So we've seen a few different supposed leaks of the new jerseys, and I was checking out Jared Dudley on Twitter the other day, and he said that he has seen the new jerseys and that the ones that have been leaked so far look nothing like quote nothing like the real ones. So this is just some speculation on my part, and I really hope this is what happens, but I think our basic home and away jerseys might look a lot like our 90s era jerseys.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Like the fans are pining for those. Like we haven't seen us wear that throwback jersey in how long? It's like since
think-
Dragic's like first or second year here or something
Yeah.
like that.
Well, we did have God, what year was that? It was 2012, 2013. We did have them. That was when we had Beasley and Luis
Yeah,
Scola,
okay.
and we did that had that bad summer. We signed Eric Gordon to that max offer sheet. Yeah, we wore them that year, and I remember because we specifically wore them at a home game against the Lakers, and we had some 7'4", like I don't know if like Middle Eastern dude, I don't remember. And yeah, and
Who's
like
your
he took
Haddadi?
Dwight Howard to
Yeah.
school. Yeah, I that's why I specifically remember we had those jerseys that
That's
season.
funny.
That's good, but that's just my guess. I think our normal kit, our normal home and away, I think it's just a guess, but I think we're gonna have that Sunburst '90s style. That's just what I'm feeling. We all want
That'd
it
be
cool. I
so
hope so.
bad.
I think that, I mean, as Suns fans, we have so much love for the Nash years, but we also like those early '90s teams with Barkley and everything. There is a really special spot for those jerseys, one, and for two, just that time period.
That era, yeah.
And I mean, like '90s is super nostalgia, anyways, with everything. And I've kind of talked to you guys about this just in person and about nostalgia and stuff. But I think that, you know, that could get some real hype for the Suns and for this young core. But then adding in some splashes of that. I know we had our new jersey redesign and stuff like recently, and it was kind of where we kind of had almost like a burst with like the number and stuff. But like, just give me the legit, just give me the Sunburst logo on the jersey. Just let it happen.
Let it happen. I like it.
Let it happen.
Let it happen. So let's let it happen into some non-sports plugs. We got David's comic book quarter. We got Mitchell's. What is it? What do we got here? It's been a while. Mitch's
Metal Minute.
Mitch's Metal Minute, and like I don't sound excited right now. I'm a little exhausted actually, but I'm just gonna hop in. I think I just watched right before we recorded. I think I just watched the best hour of television I've ever watched in my entire life.
So much hype.
I'm not gonna spoil. I'm not
Thank
that
you.
kind of guy. But it's what we've been waiting for as Game of Thrones fans. It's what we've been waiting for, and we got to see that tonight. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I got. David.
I'm so excited to be caught up.
You need, yeah. Mitch is coming over tomorrow, and we're gonna rock out a few episodes.
We'll
I
get
think,
there.
so
We'll get there.
We're getting him caught up.
I'll be there in spirit, trash talking Game of Thrones the entire
Yeah, you're a
time.
You would
loser.
love it.
You're a
I'm
loser.
seriously, every time I watch it, I'm like, David would love this.
I don't
David,
know, man.
the nerdiest
like,
of the three, would probably love this, but he thinks it's too nerdy for him. Okay.
I know I'm the nerdiest of you guys, and I get it, but I've told you this specifically to you, Mitch, before. I'm not a big like that kind of like fantasy type of guy.
Right.
Like I'm not a huge Lord of the Rings
okay,
fan.
Lord of the
Like,
Rings is great too, but seriously, it's such a great storyline, and the characters are great, and like, seriously, you would just love it.
It'd be pretty far back on the watch list on stuff that I actually need to watch.
There's so much
still,
more
so,
to
like,
it than like the fantasy element. There's politics. There's family stuff. There's creatures. There's like
Family stuff. That's
Well,
well worded.
families.
yeah. You know, there's a lot more to it than that fantasy element.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Maybe one day, but today is not that day.
Maybe
Um,
tomorrow.
I haven't done my comic
Okay,
book corner
fine,
in a
do
little
it.
while.
So yeah, let's
So-
nerd it up with some comic books.
I just want to say, like, I've seen the new Spider-Man movie like 3 times.
Oh, wow.
And I love it. And I haven't actually gotten to like say on the podcast how much I love it and how good it is. And I just wanted to say that because it's great. And in that time period, also, I've read like 3 Ultimate Collections probably, which are like kind of bigger trades. Instead of like where normal ones are probably about 6 issues, these are like 12 to 13. So I've read a few of those whenever I've actually had some free time. And oh man, just specifically Bendis's Ultimate Spider-Man is just so good, and it's so much. The movie pulls a ton from that, and some other influences from here and there, and just the movie's great. The acting's great in it. I love Michael Keaton. I'm just gonna say that. So, yeah, I'm sorry, but That's all I really want to say on my comic book corner. Is really that just I love Michael Keaton. That's
All
it.
right.
The end.
So, for my metal minute, it's August. My favorite band is August Burns Red. So for this month, I am going to be plugging
Burning
them
Red.
every week. I might also plug other stuff. Well, I know I will because the new Thy Art Is Murder album comes out on August 18th. But whatever. This week, I am going to plug the album Leveler by August Burns Red. A lot of fans view this as one of their weaker albums, but I don't. I mean, everything they do is amazing. And this album was kind of the intro to their phase where they started doing more experimental, creative, even some people would go as far as saying prog type stuff, especially with songs like Internal Canon, which is one of my favorite songs ever by any band, where they do the mariachi breakdown, which is super cool, and the acoustic version of that is great. But this album was huge for me because they were touring that album the first time I saw them, and when I first heard them play Empire, there's a great sing-along part in that. I mean, I just fell in love with seeing those guys live. So talented. So my favorite songs on that are the two I mentioned, Empire and Internal Canon, along with Pangea and Boys of Fall. So check that one out for sure. It's awesome.
Good stuff. All right. That's going to do it for this week. Come back next week while we discuss what we hope the front court worked on this offseason. And hopefully Kyrie ends up somewhere so we don't have to talk about him anymore. All right. That'll do it. See you next week. Go Suns.